The third episode of Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi has arrived, and oh boy, the opening sequence of this episode is something we've been looking forward to for some time now. However, does the entire episode hold up for what's to come before it? We'll be discussing that today. Additionally, we're at the halfway point of the Kenobi series. With only 6 episodes in total, that means we only have 3 left. While there is no second season for the show currently, Ewan McGregor has suggested that he would be keen for another season of the show. So perhaps. Anyway, spoiler warning, we'll be discussing all things Kenobi Episode 3, so you have been warned, turn away now. Unless you're on the dark side, in which case come join us. Greetings my young Padawans, my name is Captain Jack, and of course, welcome to Star Wars Now, where we're going to be discussing everything Obi-Wan Kenobi, Part 3. But before we jump into today's video, use the force and hit that subscribe and like button to never miss a video from myself and the team here at Star Wars Now. As always, if you're talking about Star Wars, then we want to hear about it. You do want to tell us about Star Wars. You know, with this episode, we've really got to commend the acting skills of Ewan McGregor once again. After the discovery of Anakin Skywalker still living, we really see what sort of grief and PTSD that gives Obi-Wan Kenobi. Ewan portrays this really well, even so when he gets flashbacks of illusions of Anakin standing out in the desert. Obviously, this is just an illusion and he's not actually there. Still creepy though. One of the scenes from last week which resonated with fans and connected with this week's episode, this would have been Leia and Ben discussing who she reminds him of. That being Padme, or Satine if you're one of them, but definitely Padme in my opinion. The connection happens once again in this episode, where Kenobi accidentally says Leia instead of a fake name they're using at the time. You can sort of still feel Kenobi's grief, regret, and more emotions as he feels the loss of Padme, and what's happened in the last 10 years. Some fans believe he was referencing Satine Kryze, his former lover in the previous episode, but I think this episode makes it clear that he was talking about Padme. Leia questioning Kenobi and her mother was rather touching. Kenobi and Bail are one of the few people left in the galaxy who really know of Padme Amidala and what she did for the galaxy. Having this moment between Kenobi and Leia was just really nice once again to highlight the long-lost hero of the Galactic Republic, and someone who sort of had a hand in kickstarting the Rebel Alliance indirectly. Obviously, the delegation of 2000, let's not forget that deleted scene about the idea of a Rebel Alliance in a sense. A detail I really want to commend with this week's episode is the visual effects. The new planet that Kenobi and Leia find themselves on, while just seemingly looking like a desert planet, does look fantastic. There are some great shots in this episode and it does look fantastic on screen. This is the beauty of the planet and the visual effects we see on screen. Take a look, we'll put some stills on now. Speaking of a planet, it once again shows the effect the Empire is having on worlds. As is always the case, the Empire is exploiting the natural resources and population for mining purposes for building Star Destroyers and other large assets that are not moons, I'd imagine. Essentially taking advantage of the world's population to do their bidding. India Varma gets her cameo appearance in this episode, one we've been looking forward to for quite some time. She was initially playing an Imperial captain, leading stormtroopers, but is now revealed she is in fact a rebel sympathizer, working to protect those who are trying to escape the Empire. I really like the twist that she's actually helping Kenobi, rather than just playing a normal Imperial captain. Hopefully we'll see more of her next week, though it would not surprise me if she does meet the wrath of Darth Vader. Speaking of Vader, of course we're going to discuss the events of this week's episode. Vader's suit-up scene at the start of this episode was amazing. The subtle flashback voice of Kenobi remembering the past, while Vader has the suit parts attached to him, was just fantastic, and worked so well. Kenobi's soul, he is coming, Master, alerts the audience that Vader's wrath is only due to come down to Kenobi very soon. During his brief conversation with a third sister, aka Reva, Vader does give a bit more about what the character seeks. This being that Reva seeks the Grand Inquisitor title. Given she just tried to off the current Grand Inquisitor, you'd think the title would pass, but as we know, it can't, as the boss man survives in the first season of Star Wars Rebels, when he takes himself out of the picture. Well done. I'm really glad we got to see Vader's cast as well. The Fortress is still one of the most impressive locations in Star Wars right now, and after spending so much time in it with other media forms like video games, it's always great to see it in live action once again. Of course, we have to chat about Vader finally catching up with Obi-Wan Kenobi, and finally running into Darth Vader himself. The Dark Lord finally arrives on the same planet that Kenobi is trying to get Leia off of, and back to Alderaan. Vader's first appearance in the full suit on the planet was fantastic. especially as he informs Kenobi as what he's made him. This of course refers back to Kenobi did to Anakin on Mustafar all those years ago. Their catch up and eventual skirmish was just brilliant to see. While I don't think this is the actual rematch of a century that we've been anticipating, rather build up towards it. We'll see another conflict between Kenobi and Vader in this series, I imagine, and obviously we hope so. Though it is rather fitting that Vader chose to burn Kenobi in fire, trying to torture him the same way Kenobi left Vader all those years ago following Order 66. Lightsaber combat just felt like lightsaber combat, and that's a good thing. The series has gotten that right, and I can imagine many fans screaming when both Kenobi and Vader activate their lightsabers for the first time. The gentle blue of Kenobi versus the red of Vader's saber was fantastic in the dark shots. Though I do have to say, the structure of the fight worked really well. Due to Kenobi's lack of continued training and cutting himself off, he is clearly not equipped to fight Vader at this point in time. Vader owning Kenobi makes sense really. While it might be sad for some to see, it is rather fitting and epic at the end of the day. Seriously, this fight sequence was just that. It fitted rather well and made a lot of sense. I am really eager to see the upcoming rematch, and we're supposed to be getting this rematch of a century later in the series. I imagine that comes with episode 6, and you just know we're all eager to see it. In a form of poetic justice in a sense, I imagine it will take place on the Inquisitor planet of Nur, where the Fortress Inquisitoris is currently located, which we actually see in this episode. Having Kenobi perhaps die, or just in a sense die in the eyes of Vader on the water planet, is what we mean by poetic justice. Anakin Skywalker effectively died on the fiery planet of Mustafar, so Kenobi dying on a water planet just makes sense in our minds. We'll need to wait and see how that plays out for now, but you know we're theorising about it ahead of time. I'm personally loving the details we're getting of the structure of the Inquisitorius. By this, I mean we're seeing a conflict between both the third sister and the fifth brother. It would appear they're both competing for the title of Grand Inquisitor. By rite of passage, it would seem the fifth brother is next in line for the title. Perhaps likely as he's the most senior Inquisitor at this point in time. We are aware that the Grand Inquisitor is supposed to be back at some point, so of course he's not totally dead. For as long as we have known the Inquisitors, we've always been aware of this subtle rivalry that is going on with them all. Touching on Reva and the Inquisitor again, we might have even more information. Reva investigates and discovers Tala's hideout. One of the walls has the Jedi crest scratched into it, a symbol of the once great Jedi Order. Upon discovering this, it seemingly sends Reva into a fit of rage, as she trashes up the building and also discovers the tunnel network. It leads me to believe that Reva is a former Jedi Padawan, who perhaps survived Order 66, or maybe some sort of Jedi outcast, maybe like Ahsoka once was. If Reva is in fact a Jedi Padawan, as some of the Star Wars fandom currently are presuming, it would make sense as to why some of the Inquisitors, who were also former Jedi, perhaps look down on her as beneath them. She as such will be the youngest among them and therefore not worthy of their presence in a sense. Though she does carry favour in small doses with Lord Vader, so that's kinda helping I guess. Jedi Quinlan Vos gets a reference in the episode which is rather touching for fans of the Clone Wars. His future in the Star Wars universe was always up for debate, as not many were sure if he actually survived Order 66, but he seemingly did. This is actually explored through some comics and we'll be touching on this in a dedicated video at the weekend. Given this takes place in 9 BBY, Vos is alive and kicking, it is presumed. Based on what Tala says, he seeks out Force senses and moves them away from the Empire. Theory-wise here, part of me is thinking this could easily link with Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, or rather the upcoming Jedi Survivor video game that was just announced at Star Wars Celebration this weekend just gone. You know, I've really got to say that it's rare that a series or films actually gets me sitting up on the edge of my seat these days. With Vader arriving on our planet and brutally murdering the civilian population, it had me eager to see what his next move was, and when Obi-Wan Kenobi would be popping out and what he'd be doing next. While dark, the first moment between Vader and Kenobi is touching, especially when Ben asks, "What have you become?" with Vader replying, "I am what you've made me." It's clear to us though not only the emotion on screen, but the visuals that Vader is at the peak of holding up so much rage and emotion inside the suit. He really is at the peak of his hatred not only for Obi-Wan, but everything else as well. I think some may complain that the fight sequence was too short or not what we were promised. Simply put, it's best to wait for the entire series to actually come out before we start laying down the entire criticism of this, I think. I'm really thinking this isn't the last we see of Kenobi versus Vader, before we both go their separate ways once again. It is unreal to think we're already halfway through the incredible story of Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'm really going to be sad when this ends, but it's already a fitting story for the old Jedi Master and what has become of him. His rematch of Darth Vader is something we're all eagerly looking forward to. Additionally, we actually have a lot of more unexplored content right now, such as droids striking back in the trailer and seemingly a battle at Fortress Inquisitorius. I'm looking forward to what is upcoming on Kenobi. The next episode is on course for next Wednesday, and I'm really looking forward to where we'll find Kenobi next, especially with the next planet he ventures to. Also, someone's now going to have to rescue Leia from Reva. Can't wait to work out how that one goes down. Alright Exiled Ones, that's it for me, but what did you think of the latest episode of Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi? Make sure to let us know what you think in the video comment section below, because if you're talking Star Wars, then of course we want to hear about it. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to keep up to date with the latest Star Wars news, lore and more. You can also follow us on social media as well. In the meantime, that's it for myself today. I've been Captain Jack here on Star Wars Now, and of course, we'll see you very soon for more dedicated Star Wars videos. May the Force be with you.